Hey everyone, welcome to Wonderful Wednesday. It's me, Miss Sarah Hamill, reporting from my kitchen. Today's program, we are supposed to make slime. But you know what? I bet you've all have made slime before. I know I've made slime with a lot of kids at the library. So even though I listed our program today being about slime, we're going to make some other fun, gooey stuff in the kitchen. So, the first thing that I have for us to make today is Jello Putty. Before we get started with that, I wanted to show you two books that I've been using. These are both available at the Mary Vincent Memorial Library. There's one on DIY Slime by Karina Garcias, who's a YouTube star and got really popular from doing slime videos. And the next one is 101 Kids Activities. And this book is so awesome. It has sections for slime, Play-Doh, different types of kinetic sand, and all sorts of other stuff that you can whip up in the kitchen or with a really quick trip to your local grocery store. So for Jello Putty, all of the things I'm going to be making today are made with ingredients that you probably already have around the kitchen or that are very easily obtained at the grocery store. So our Jello Putty, this is an edible recipe, so you can eat it. I wouldn't recommend making a meal out of this because it's not going to taste that good, but you can taste it and it's pretty fun. So the ingredients for this slime are, and I already have my dry ingredients mixed in this bowl together. In this bowl I have 2 boxes of sugar-free Jello. I chose orange because it's just what I saw at the store and I like orange. 2 boxes of Jello. I got both of those emptied in here in my bowl with 3/4 of a cup of cornstarch. Cornstarch is a really magical substance. If any of you have ever played with cornstarch and water before, you know it does some really neat stuff. When you don't touch it, it turns into like a liquid, and then when you start touching it and moving it, it turns into like almost a solid. It's a really neat substance. They call it oobleck, I believe. So I have my cornstarch here, and I have my Jello mixed up. And next, what I need to do is get some water. And this recipe works best with warm water. So I'm going to go get the tap heating up and get some warm water, and then we'll mix it all together and see what happens. So hang on just a sec. While my water warms up, I'll go ahead and tell you what we're going to do afterwards. After we do our Jello Putty, we are going to make something that my mom used to make with me when I was a little girl. It's called peanut butter Play-Doh. And most of you will probably be sold just by peanut butter. And if any of you have ever had peanut butter Buckeyes or peanut butter balls during Christmas time, this Play-Doh tastes a lot like that. So be careful. It is really delicious. And if you're not careful, you can make yourself sick on it. So don't eat too much. So that's what we're going to make after we make our Jello Putty. And then the last thing that we're going to make is a really simple, easy 3-ingredient soft dough. And this is not edible, so do not eat it. It will smell nice, but you can't eat it. The first two that we're making, the Jello Putty and the peanut butter Play-Doh, are both edible. So now that I think my water is nice and warm, I'm going to go put some water in this pitcher. All right, so I have some really warm, almost hot tap water here, and I'm going to pour a 1/4 cup into this measure out a 1/4 cup. And the recipe for this calls for 1 teaspoon to be added at a time. So I have my 1 teaspoon measuring spoon right here, and I'm just going to start by adding 1 teaspoon at a time and stir. And I need a little bit more, so you just mix it in little by little until it starts to separate from the edges of the bowl, is what the recipe says. So I'm just going to continue to add 1 teaspoon at a time. And it is going to be kind of hard to come together. This is what the cornstarch does, is it sees all that water gets seized up in the cornstarch, and it becomes kind of difficult to mix. But if you hang in there and keep it going, it'll turn eventually. So I'm scraping the edges of the bowl right now, and everything's clumping up nicely. This is what it looks like right now. But I think it's time to add some more water. All right. We'll go ahead and put 2 teaspoons at a time because I can tell it's going to need it. And then we mix, 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 and it smells like delicious orange Jello in here already. Yummy. Okay, and I can tell I'm still going to need some more. So here's a few more teaspoons there. And it's definitely turning a bright orange color. Oh, fun, fun, fun. When I told my little boy, who's almost 4 years old, that I was going to be making different Play-Dohs and slimes for my program today, oh my goodness, he's been bugging me about it for the last week. I told him about a week ago that I was going to be doing this, and he has been wanting to make peanut butter Play-Doh and slime and all kinds of stuff. So once I get these all mixed up, I'm going to let him come play with it. So I need a little bit more than 1/4 cup of water, and I think it all is just going to depend on the exact amount that you have in your recipe. All of these can be adjusted as needed. So if it looks like it's a little too dry, add more water. If it looks like it's a little too wet, add a little more cornstarch, and that's going to be your recipe there. It's just to balance it. Everything's starting to come together really nicely in my bowl here. See? Nice pretty orange. Alright, and I'm using a whisk here. You can use a spoon or a fork or even a spatula like this. In fact, the spatula is what I'm going to bring in just a minute so I can start scraping a little better. I still need a little more water. We'll go in with 2 more teaspoons, and I think that's going to be about what I'm looking for there. It's starting to come together. Okay, so I'm going to switch. I'm going to take my whisk out, and I'm going to start using my hands. Ooh, fun. And once again, everyone, make sure that when you're starting this dough that you use nice warm, almost hot water, because it really does help the dough come together. When you have to make Jello, just normal Jello that you're eating, you normally have to use hot water with it too, and it just helps to activate the gelatin. All right, I've got a really fun slimy dough coming together here. I still need a little more water. It smells so good, and it's bright orange, almost like neon orange. Okay, and here we go. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to tip the bowl over. It's starting to come away from the edges, and all of it's sticking together, which is what we're looking for. And as most slimes, like the more you play with it, the more activated it gets, and the more stretchy and like it's more fun to play with once you play with it a little bit. So just remember to stay patient and to keep working, and you are eventually going to end up with a really fun dough here. A putty, if you will. It is kind of like a sticky putty. And it smells good. It smells like oranges. Let me try to get some of this off the counter here. All right. And can squeeze it and mold it and stretch it, and you can taste it. Let's see. I'm going to be brave and taste a little bit. It tastes like orange Jello, but it also tastes kind of chalky, like cornstarch. So, ooh, it's kind of sour because there's a lot of Jello in there. I would think you would not want to make a meal out of this, or even a snack, but it smells good and it's kind of nice to taste on a little bit. I bet kids would like it a lot more than adults though, because I remember what I was like when I was a kid, and I would eat just about any kind of candy or gross, weird, sugary stuff. So kids, y'all will probably love this. Just don't make yourself sick. So that is our first Jello putty, and it is fun and soft and squishy and tasty. So I'm going to put this aside now. So that's one of our doughs, putties that we made. And what I need to do is go wash my hands next, because I don't want to get my peanut butter Play-Doh orangey. Yuck. Okay, hang on. All right, all clean. Now, boys and girls, something that I meant to mention at the beginning of this video is whenever you're working in the kitchen, you should always wash your hands with warm, soapy water before you begin any kind of project. And before I started this video, I did wash my hands with warm, soapy water, just so you weren't worried about it. Okay, so let me get all of this stuff out of the way. And now it's time for our delicious peanut butter Play-Doh. I've been so excited about making this. I don't think I've made this since I was a little kid. So found the recipe in my mom's recipe book, and I had all the ingredients to make it. So here we go. The first 2 ingredients that we have in our bowl here, I've already mixed them together, is 1 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, confection sugar. So 1 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And then 1 1/4 cup of carnation dry milk. You can use any kind of dry powdered milk. I found this just at the grocery store, but I know because supply issues and demand issues in our stores, you might not be able to find this right now, but normally they have it in the baking section next to the marshmallows and the sweetened condensed milk. Dry milk powder. So a cup and a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar and of the dry powdered milk. You get those together and you whisk them together in the bowl. And, whoops, I dropped my books. Got another whisk here. Go ahead and whisk it up. To that, we are going to add 1 whole cup of corn syrup. And I had dark corn syrup in my cabinet, so that's what we're going to use today, but I think you can use light syrup too. All right, so let's pour this in. Ooh. All right. Let's get the spatula to scoop all that out. Yum. All right, and the best part, my favorite part, a cup of peanut butter. So let me recap that recipe again. We have 1 1/4 cup of dry milk, 1 1/4 cup powdered sugar, 1 cup of corn syrup, and 1 cup of peanut butter. And that's all of your ingredients. Let's scoop this in here. And this is going to take some elbow grease, as my mom would say. It just means it's going to take a little extra work. We're going to start mixing this. Mix, mix, mix. See? Can you guys see that? It's like all slimes and putties and Play-Dohs, there's a lot of mixing that you have to do to get it to the right consistency. Ooh, it smells so good. It smells like sugary peanut butter. Oh my goodness. All right. So this is starting to come together really nicely. This is what it looks like now after mixing for just a minute. And I'm going to keep mixing it with my spatula and scraping the sides to make sure that I get everything well incorporated. And that means that I have everything mixed up really well. All right, because see, some of the powder settles at the bottom. Ooh, I'm so excited about this. Oh, it smells so good. All right. At this point, we need to switch over to using our hands. This is what our peanut butter Play-Doh looks like now. And this is 100% edible. And it's 100% tasty too, because that cornstarch that we used in our Jello Play-Doh has kind of a chalky, powdery texture. But if we get all of these ingredients combined nicely together, they're going to taste so good together. Okay, so I'm going to take my spatula out, and with my clean hands, I'm going to get my hands in the bowl, and I'm going to start kneading it like I would Play-Doh. And you may want to cover your counter with parchment paper or wax paper before you start doing this, because it can stick on your countertops. But our countertops are just old and beat up, so I don't mind putting my Play-Doh directly on the counter, especially after it's been cleaned really well. Oh man, it smells so good. Okay, so when you're done, you'll have a big wad of peanut butter Play-Doh right here. Oh, it smells so good, and I'm going to taste it now. It's so good. Oh my gosh, this is dangerous. Okay, let me put that aside. The peanut butter Play-Doh is 110%. Really good, fun to play with. And because it's got peanut butter in it and that dry milk, all the stickiness from the peanut butter kind of goes away. And it doesn't really leave your hands too sticky. You'll still need to wash your hands after you play with it, of course. But they just kind of smell like peanut butter. And yeah, anyway, let me rinse my fingers off, and then we're going to do our last dough. And this last one is not edible, okay? So you can't eat it, but you can smell it, and it feels nice to play with. So hang on, let me rinse my fingers. All right, I'm going to have a lot of dishes to do after this program. So for our last dough, this is an easy, soft Play-Doh, and it only has 3 ingredients in it, and these are probably ingredients that you have around your house as well. And I'll tell you something also, parents, Cornstarch is really cheap at the grocery store. Whenever I have to buy it, I just buy a couple of canisters because you can make so many fun things with it at home, like the oobleck ooze with water and cornstarch, Jello cornstarch water, cornstarch conditioner is our next ingredients. Just really, it is such a magical texture that you can do a lot of different things with it and make a lot of different fun play doughs and play putties and stuff like that with it. So for our last concoction, we're going to make this easy soft Play-Doh. In here, I have 1 1/4 cup of cornstarch. I know you can't really see it because of the lighting, but there's cornstarch in there. 1 1/4 cup of cornstarch. And I'm going to take a 1/2 cup of just cheap Suave conditioner and pour it in there. And then I'm going to start mixing with a spoon. And this is such a fun dough to make too. All right. And remember, like I was saying with the Jello Putty, all of these doughs and slimes and putties are just, it's all about the consistency. So if you don't have the consistency you want, think about what it feels like. Is it too dry and crumbly? Then it needs more liquid or conditioner. If it's too wet, then it needs more cornstarch. So I can tell by looking at this that it's too dry and crumbly, so I need a little more conditioner. And instead of using a measuring cup, I'm just going to squirt a little bit in here just to see. And that looks better. I think it was probably about 2 tablespoons that I squirted back in here. And I'm mixing it up. Okay, now here comes the fun part. I'm going to add some food coloring. So we have 1 1/4 cup of cornstarch, a 1/2 cup of conditioner, plus a couple tablespoons. And I'm going to do a few drops of this beautiful teal food coloring. And I'm going to mix it up, and it's going to turn a beautiful seafoam green color. All right, and now if you're using food coloring, just bear in mind that it might stain your hands when you play with it. But that Jello kind of turned my hands orange earlier anyway, so, and I don't mind having my hands turned a different color, especially if it means I was doing something fun like making Play-Doh while it happened. Okay, and honestly guys, I think I need a little more conditioner. Alright, that was about another 2 tablespoons that I added. So we might need to tweak this recipe to be more like 3/4 of a cup of conditioner to 1 1/4 cup of cornstarch. That makes sense, and then it's just 2 even cups of product that you're end up with. 1 1/4 cup of cornstarch and 3/4 cups of conditioner and a few drops of food coloring. And look at this fun dough. That dough is coming together. When it gets to this stage, I always like to get my hands in there because your hands are really the best tools that you have. You can have spatulas and spoons and forks and whisks, but at the end of the day, when it comes to making a dough, nothing beats your hands. Your hands are the best tools that we have. All right. I mean, our hands help us do everything anyway, right? They help us eat, they help us brush our teeth, they help us write, they help us type out messages to say I love you on our phones. All right. So, oh, this is just such a fun, stretchy dough to play with. Once you get everything mixed up, it's going to look kind of like this. You guys see it? And it smells really nice. You can use whatever conditioner you want. I like using the cheap stuff because, you know, expensive conditioner goes in your hair. And this stuff is just easy to get, and then you use it a lot for craft stuff. Oh, it feels so nice. It's so super soft. It makes your hands really soft when you play with it. And you can just squeeze this and let it fall. Let's see. Do a big drip. Ew! There it goes. Ew! This is a lot of fun. And now that I have these fun doughs mixed up, I am going to let my little boy come in here and play with some of them, separately of course, because I wouldn't want him to get this conditioner soft dough mixed in with his peanut butter Play-Doh. Ugh, yuck, you wouldn't want that. But I'm going to clean everything up, and then I'm going to let him come in and play with the Jello Putty and the peanut butter Play-Doh and this lovely simple soft dough. Well guys, I hope that you got some great ideas for some fun things to make in the kitchen, whether by yourselves or with parental supervision, I hope, or parents, maybe you guys just want to make some fun dough and unleash the inner child. They're all still there. Trust me, I like to tap in with mine every day. So, now that I've rambled along enough, I'm going to let you guys go, but I hope you enjoyed this program and all the fun, sticky, gooey doughs that we made today. And make sure to tune in for our story time tomorrow. Whoops, here we go. Our story time tomorrow, Thursday at 3 p.m. All right, guys, have a great day. I gotta go wash my hands. See you later. Bye.